The last passenger. It was supposed to be a simple night shift. Ethan had been driving for a rideshare app for almost 3 years. Most of his passengers were drunk college students, tired workers, or tourists who missed their trains. Nothing unusual ever happened. Until the night of October 27th, rain hammered against his windshield as he waited outside a nearly abandoned gas station on the edge of town. It was 2:43 a.m. A ride request appeared. Pickup location, Blackwood Road. Ethan frowned. Blackwood Road wasn't really a road anymore. It had been closed years ago after a landslide destroyed part of it. No one lived there. Still, the app showed a passenger waiting. The fare was surprisingly high. Without thinking much about it, Ethan accepted. The drive took 20 minutes. The further he went, the fewer lights he saw. Soon the only illumination came from his headlights cutting through the rain. Then he arrived. The pickup pin sat beside an old bus stop that looked like it hadn't been touched in decades. Nobody was there. Ethan sighed. Probably a prank. He reached for his phone to cancel. Then someone knocked on his window, and he nearly jumped out of his skin. Standing beside the car was a woman. She wore a long gray coat soaked by the rain. Her dark hair covered most of her face. Ethan hadn't seen her approach. Not once. The road around him was completely open. There was nowhere she could have come from. Still, he unlocked the doors. The woman climbed into the back seat without speaking. The moment she entered, the temperature inside the car dropped. Ethan could suddenly see his breath. "Where to?" he asked. No response. A new destination automatically appeared on his GPS, Ravens Hollow Cemetery. Ethan laughed nervously. That's a strange place at 3 a.m. Nothing. The woman simply stared out the window. The drive felt endless. Rain continued pounding against the glass. Several times, Ethan glanced into the rear-view mirror. Each time, the woman seemed slightly different. At first, her head was lowered. Then she was looking directly at him. Then her face seemed closer, much closer, as if she had somehow moved forward without making a sound. Ethan gripped the steering wheel. Something wasn't right. He looked again. The back seat was empty. His heart stopped. He slammed on the brakes. The car skidded across the wet road. The woman was gone. He spun around. Nobody, just empty seats. Breathing heavily, Ethan grabbed his flashlight and searched outside. Nothing, no footprints. No sign anyone had ever been there. A voice whispered behind him. "Why did you stop?" Ethan froze. The woman sat in the back seat again, exactly where she had been before. Her face was still hidden. His blood ran cold. He got back in the car and locked every door. His hands shook as he continued driving. 10 minutes later, they reached the cemetery. The iron gates stood open. The GPS instructed him to drive inside. "No chance," Ethan muttered. He stopped at the entrance. "We're here." Silence. Then the woman slowly raised her head. For the first time, Ethan saw her face, or what remained of it. Her skin was pale and cracked. one eye was completely black. The other looked cloudy and dead. Her mouth stretched into an impossible smile, a smile far too wide for any human being. Then she spoke. "You drove me here once before." Ethan felt every muscle lock. "What?" The woman continued smiling. 3 years ago." His stomach dropped. 3 years ago. The landslide, the road collapse, the accident. He remembered it. A stormy night. A woman had stepped onto the road. He swerved, lost control. The crash had killed someone. The case was ruled an accident. He had spent years trying to forget. The woman tilted her head. "You left before help arrived." Ethan couldn't breathe. Nobody had known that. Nobody. The car suddenly shut off. Every light died. The rain stopped. The entire world became silent. Not quiet. Silent. As if sound itself had disappeared. Ethan reached for his phone. No signal. The screen displayed only static. Then the rear view mirror cracked. A single fracture spread across the glass. Then another and another, until hundreds of tiny cracks covered the mirror. Within every crack, Ethan saw a reflection, not of himself, of the woman, smiling, watching, waiting. Something struck the roof, then another impact, then dozens. Ethan looked through the windshield. People stood among the graves. Hundreds of them. Motionless figures covered in mud. Men, women, children, all staring at his car. Every face carried the same impossible smile, the same dead eyes, the same expression. And slowly, every one of them began walking forward. Ethan screamed and tried starting the engine. Nothing. The figures surrounded the vehicle. Hands pressed against every window. Mud smeared across the glass. The car groaned under their weight. Then the woman leaned forward, her lips inches from Ethan's ear, and whispered, "You shouldn't have come back." The next morning, a police officer found Ethan's car abandoned beside Blackwood Road. The engine still ran. The doors were locked. The driver's seat was empty. There were no signs of a struggle. No blood, no footprints, nothing. Only one strange detail remained. Written in the fogged rear window from the inside were 6 words. "There is always room for one more." Ethan was never seen again.